The Carolina Panthers named Bryce Young the starting quarterback really early into training camp, and there were Panthers fans and fans who were rooting for other teams saying that the Panthers made a mistake naming him the starting QB this early. They should have made him work for it a little bit more, and I gotta strongly disagree with that. Here's why. If you're Frank Reich and you already know that Bryce Young is your guy, and you've already seen enough out of him to make you comfortable enough to name him QB1 early in the training camp, then you pretty much have seen Bryce Young play at a high enough level in minicamp and learn a good amount of the offense that he needs more first-team reps to continue to build more chemistry and rapport with his teammates. You see, the problem with these quarterback battles that people hardly ever talk about is that you're kind of hindering the guy who you feel is the better option. If you have the better quarterback splitting reps with somebody else due to a QB battle, you're kind of hindering him. They say competition brings the best out of people, but in certain situations, if there's a quarterback that's obviously outperforming the guy ahead of him, or if there's a quarterback that's obviously performing at a high level, and he has shown that he's the better option, you start him and you make sure that he gets a good amount of reps, and you make sure that he gets a lot of opportunities to build chemistry and camaraderie with his teammates on the first team. You see, you don't want a situation where you're splitting reps between Andy Dalton and Bryce Young has already proven he's the guy, but you want to take the old school approach and try to feel like competition is the best for everything when it's not, because you're holding back a rookie quarterback from getting those reps that he needs to improve. You see, training camp is where you make your mistakes and you learn from them. If you're Bryce Young, you're a rookie. You rather make mistakes in training camp versus making these mistakes in the game. And him being a young quarterback, he needs these opportunities to mess up so he can learn from them versus him making these mistakes and learning from them in the game and you ended up coming away with L's. Starting Andy Dalton, okay, if you felt Bryce Young wasn't ready, cool, you roll with Andy Dalton. But if Bryce Young has obviously proved that he's a better option than Andy Dalton, you start him. You taking away meaningful reps away from Bryce Young because you want to make him earn it is stupid. That's why some of these rookies get out the slow starts, because they get into these quarterback battles that are kind of unnecessary, knowing damn well that the rookie quarterback is better than the backup option, and you hinder that quarterback from getting the opportunities to learn from mistakes because you're giving those reps to the other guy. You see, in these quarterback battles, these reps are limited. These quarterbacks are probably throwing no more than 20 times during a training camp session. Rather that be 7-on-7s and then they move to 11-on-11 or 7-on-9, doesn't really matter. These reps count. These reps are where your quarterback gets better. And when you're taking away these opportunities and giving them to somebody else, you're taking away opportunity for your young quarterback to get better. That's why Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew are splitting reps, and that's why they may be putting Anthony Richardson in a non-favorable position week one, knowing that this guy is super raw, knowing that he doesn't have a lot of experience playing the quarterback position, even on the college level. So you still have a fairly raw quarterback. In a situation like Anthony Richardson, it would make sense to continue to allow the quarterback battle to play out because he hasn't shown that he's all that better than Gardner Minshew. Bryce Young, on the other hand, has already shown everybody that he's better than Andy Dalton, and he's done it fairly fast. You got to trust Frank Reich. This isn't a new head coach. This isn't somebody who's inexperienced, who's a novice. He knows what he's doing. He also played quarterback in the NFL. He has a really good resume when it comes to getting the most out of his quarterbacks. So if he feels like if Frank Reich feels that Bryce Young is ready to be anointed quarterback one, you got to trust his judgment. Obviously, it's a process that goes into this that is well thought out. They didn't just wake up one morning and say, okay, Bryce Young is our starter. You know, they talked about this. Frank Reich, among the other coaches and people inside the organization, they evaluated Bryce Young and how he performed and improved throughout minicamp and OTAs, and they were ready to go ahead with the decision to fully make him the official starter. There's nothing wrong with that. CJ Stroud and Davis Mills are in a quarterback battle because CJ Stroud still hasn't separated himself all that much from Davis Mills. And the Houston Texans coaching staff isn't comfortable right now with naming CJ Stroud the starter. The Carolina Panthers are comfortable with making Bryce Young their starting QB, and people make it seem like if you start a rookie QB too early, they're going to automatically struggle. Joe Burrow started week 1, he was perfectly fine. Cam Newton started week 1, he was perfectly fine. Not everything needs to be a long, drawn-out quarterback battle. These quarterback battles, when you have a guy that's obviously better than the dude behind him, you start him. You don't need to waste any more time with splitting these reps. You need to make sure that Bryce Young has all the reps necessary to continue to better understand his wide receivers, to better understand where he needs to put the ball, to better understand how these receivers want Bryce Young to throw the football. The offensive line has to get acclimated to him getting outside the pocket and extending plays. There is a certain amount of chemistry that needs to be established in training camp. And with these QB battles, you hinder that. And that's what people are missing. That's why the Panthers naming Bryce Young the QB1 early in training camp was a smart decision, because you're not wasting any more time splitting reps between him and Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is probably getting 20% of the first team reps, and Bryce Young is getting 80% of them. That's how it should be. He's the better quarterback. You already seen that he's better than Andy Dalton. So what more do you need to wait and see on? All you do by having these quarterback battles take place when you obviously have a guy who's better is hinder the better QB from building chemistry and rapport with the starters. So Bryce Young being named the starting QB was a smart decision by the Carolina Panthers. The people who keep trying to call this a mistake are the people who are stuck in this old school philosophy that competition is everything and competition is the end all be all for players being great. No, it's not. If you ever played football on any level, Pop Warner, middle school, high school, college, NFL, it doesn't matter. It doesn't take you long to figure out the guys who can play and the ones who don't deserve to be on the team. Your first day putting on pads, it only takes about 45 minutes to find out who the dogs are and who the bench warmers are. Bryce Young was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. If he wasn't able to beat out Andy Dalton as quickly as what he was able to, it would be a little bit concerning. So Panthers fans who are trying to make this a big deal, oh, we're giving him the keys too early, he didn't earn it. He earned it. And he earned it pretty fast, because I guess he was good enough and so better than Andy Dalton that he gave Frank Wright and the Panthers coaching staff a lot of faith to just go ahead and give him the keys so he can get all those reps. You need these things, man. You can't be splitting these reps 50-50, taking it away from a young QB. They need that. They need those growing pains. Bryce Young and all these interceptions that he's thrown so far throughout training camp, he needs to make those mistakes. And that's why you give him all those reps. What are you doing giving reps to Andy Dalton? Honestly, if you know that Andy Dalton isn't better than Bryce Young and Bryce Young has already separated himself from him, then go ahead and start Bryce Young and give him all those first team reps early in the training camp. All you're doing by splitting up the reps between him and Andy Dalton is hindering his development. So for the people who keep saying that, oh, they gave Bryce Young the keys to the Ferrari way too soon, stop it, man. Every quarterback is different. Y'all make it seem like every rookie quarterback struggles. Not every rookie quarterback struggles. Some rookie quarterbacks have more struggles than others, and some rookie quarterbacks just come out the gate and just are automatically good because of the preparation that they put in, because of the amount of reps that they received. Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert were going off as rookies, and they were coming out of COVID. They were part of the COVID class where you didn't have a lot of time in training camp to get reps and opportunities and time to build chemistry with your teammates. So for Joe Burrow, he was able to come out, solidify himself as the starting QB right away, and he was able to get the majority of the first team reps, which helped him during his rookie season. Well, Bryce Young, I think, is going to go the same way. I think he's going to have a rookie season really similar to Joe Burrow before he got injured. Bryce Young needed to cement himself as the starting quarterback early. The team has already viewed Bryce Young as a legitimate quarterback. You listen to any Carolina Panthers player when they talk about Bryce Young, they have nothing but positive things to say. And it's not the normal, typical button-up answers that these players give when discussing a rookie quarterback, like, oh, yeah, he's improving every single day. He's getting better. Like, nah, like these Panthers players are dead serious every time they praise Bryce Young. It's not just players speak. It's not just them hyping up their guy. They really believe in Bryce Young. Bryce Young has already proven himself, not just to the coaching staff, but to the team. He's already viewed as a leader. So therefore, you already proven yourself that you're better than Andy Dalton. You've already kind of started to cement yourself as a leader. So therefore, what else do you have to prove when it comes to, are you deserving of being named QB1? You've already proven enough. You've already outperformed Andy Dalton. So the people who keep saying, oh, they gave him the keys too fast, they should have made him work for it a little bit more, that's a mistake sometimes. Competition isn't always great for everybody. Not everybody does great with competition. And when you're in the NFL, you don't have time to have competitions when you already have somebody who's proven to be the better option, because you're taking away those repetitions. And I know I'm sounding a little bit repetitive, but this just seems to be something that a lot of people just kind of don't understand. And if you play any basic level of football, you know that you need reps. You don't just not practice at all and just all of a sudden game day comes and you balling out. You got to perform well in practice. And you need all the opportunities you can get to get comfortable. Whether you're learning a new offense or have a new quarterback or whatever, repetition is everything. And when you split those reps, you're taking away the opportunities for somebody to get better and grow. You don't need to see anything out of Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton isn't better than Bryce Young, obviously, if Bryce Young has already separated himself this fast. Same thing with the New England Patriots. When they went ahead, cut Cam Newton, and named Mac Jones the starter, it didn't take long for Mac Jones to separate himself. And you know what they did? They just said, you know what? Mac Jones has just separated himself so far away from Cam Newton that we might as well just get rid of Cam so we can go ahead and give him the majority of the reps. You remember Trevor Lawrence rookie season when him and Gardner Minshew were in a quarterback competition, supposedly, all the way until, near the tail end of preseason? It was kind of a waste because we already knew that Trevor Lawrence was going to start week 1. And he already, according to reports, was performing better than Gardner Minshew at that time. So therefore, why continue to go on with the quarterback battle? All you did was put your rookie quarterback at a disadvantage because he didn't get all of the first team snaps. More first team snaps for a rookie quarterback gives him more opportunities and more time to better understand his teammates. This wasn't a mistake. This was actually a really good decision. Bryce Young has proven himself as a leader. He's proven himself as a better QB than Andy Dalton. There was no more time that they needed to waste to figure out if Bryce Young was the guy or not.